Well, what a day we had today. Tesla stock went crazy, as did most of the rest of the market. And then all of a sudden, what happened? Well, we'll deal with that in a minute with my speculation. Not too many people seem to have been that interested in the wild ride that was in the equity markets today, but I will tackle it. In the meantime, we have Canaccord Genuity doing a survey. Now, they didn't tell how many people were in the survey. They didn't say who these people were, except that it was a very broad group of respondents that were not on the list of reservation holders for the Cybertruck. They were shocked at the result and the interest in the truck. And they said that looks were the key factor in how people, whether people wanted to get a Cybertruck or not. Are you ready? 33% of the people in the survey said they wanted or would buy the Cybertruck. 66% said they wouldn't. That's after the Cybertruck has been out and around for only a week. 33%. That shocked them. It shocks me, and it should shock you. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting news. The markets were having a great day, as I mentioned, and something killed the mood, and I'll talk about that in a minute. This is Randy Kirk. Please hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, and of course, you want to join Patreon. Thank you so much for all of those of you who have joined Patreon. It really helps the channel, as you know. When you hit notify, of course, you're going to want to be notified about tomorrow when we've got Jeff Lutz coming on for the first time as co-host on Wednesday night. And also you want to be taking a look back, if you will, because today's video that I did with Brian White blew up the channel. It's getting huge numbers. And if you didn't see that one, you want to go back and check it out. I'll leave a card on that one later. Okay. And then, of course, you need one of these. Did you all see it? Did you see that Sandy Munro, in doing a video with none other than Elon Musk, doing an interview, at the end of the interview, he said he wanted to give Elon a gift. And as soon as he said that he was fumbling around with how the box opened, I had a clue. And then he said, because, I don't have it handy. You know that the front is a magnetic latch and you got to find it. And it's hard because it's all black. Anyway, you guessed it. You're right. Sandy Munro thought enough about the Cybertruck bottle opener and refrigerator magnet that he gave one of these to Elon Musk as a gift for doing the interview with him. So now, if you didn't want one before, I'm sure now you want one. So remember all the details. It's 25 for one, 45 for two, 65 for three. PayPal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lower cap letters. And if you're outside the country, please add $20. Oh yeah, and there's one more thing. Mention whether you want camo like this or regular like this, and that'll do it. So place your orders right away, because I just got a whole bunch. I got boxes full of them, and we can get them out this week. They're going to get there, in 5 or 6 days. Everything will be great. You'll have it covered for Christmas. All right. All that information is down below in the description, along with how you can get the link to go over to Patreon and get all hooked up over there. All right, so there's so much really important stuff going on today. I hardly know where to start, but I will start with this from Gary Black. He goes on X. He's Gary Black, 00, meaning 00, not the letter O, but 00. He says, we are sensing a narrative shift. Oh my goodness, he's starting to sound like me. He's sensing a narrative shift among institutional investors towards Tesla being the only investable EV company out there. The competition can't keep up. Falling long-term rates help long-duration growth names like Tesla the most. Of course, the falling long-term rates, eventually the short-term rates are going to follow on. That's going to help sell cars because people be able to buy the cars cheaper. He goes on to say that he thinks the 1-2 punch of no price cuts and the CT handover are going to be important things that are going to get these folks involved. Okay. Now he can add confirmation of a revolutionary manufacturing process that will undoubtedly start manufacturing next-gen cars in 2024. Elon reported today, he says, the manufacturing approach will blow people's minds. Now, given the technological marvels that we just got presented in the Cybertruck, which he said would blow people's minds and are blowing people's minds, I guess maybe some folks will begin to believe him. And then, of course, who knows whether people start believing him about some robot called Optimus or something. Anyway, so there's Gary Black saying, change your mind. Minds are changing. NASDAQ and the Mag 7 were on a wild ride today, starting lower, then jumping higher, and then retreating. Tesla started higher than either one of them. I said, looks like it's going to keep going, which it did. It retreated, still stayed in the green all day long. And then what is the reason? I was trying to figure it out. I thought, well, okay, it could be that the news about the Gen 3 being built in Austin in order to get it done quicker, that could, and that progress is excellent, said Elon. That could have created some interest today to get it going like crazy. But then why did everything get slammed? I mean, slammed. And it wasn't just Tesla. So I thought maybe it was this Moody's downgrade of China. Did you hear about that? So Moody's downgraded China. They downgraded their debt to poor, I think. That could have been, it happened around the right time. Now, Jim Cramer, whom I don't commonly quote, wonders what does Moody's know, or what could they even know that we all can't read by reading the financial news? He said it's kind of hard to imagine that they have some special knowledge. Thus, this would merely be affirming what we already know in China. But in any case, the news might have tanked the stocks who are significantly exposed to China, which would include Tesla. Anyway, that might have been it. Again, the Tesla finished in the green and was in the green even more in the after hours, but not recovering like the $8 or $9 that it lost from the high of the day. All right. Elon also said that the Cybertruck will not have a meaningful impact on 2024 Tesla results, which is similar to what he said before. But that statement, if you parse what he just said exactly, would mean that there will be an impact on 2024 Tesla results. He says it would not have a meaningful impact. Well, meaningful impact would be 10% of profits, or even 5% of profits. Well, I don't think anybody's expecting that, but that suggests if it's not he could have said it'll have a negative impact. He didn't say that. He says it will not have a meaningful impact. So therefore, I'm saying he's thinking Cybertruck will be in profits in 2024. He goes on to say that the Cybertruck will contribute in a meaningful way in 2025, or he certainly thinks it will. Now, that means that the CT contribution to earnings, the people that are saying that it will never be significant, that puts that to a quick death, at least in terms of what Elon believes. Now, some of the people that said it will never be important in terms of earnings, we're talking about compared to FSD, Robotaxi, and Optimus, which I think we can all agree that when those things are in place, even the entire car division could slide into less than important as a percentage, like under 10% of total earnings. All right, X.AI has filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission to raise $1 billion, which I guess they've already raised around 137 million of that. I guess Elon is ready to get serious about the entire X.AI situation. That is pretty exciting for us and for X.com, because X.com is going to get 25% of X.AI, and he has said he'll talk to the board about what a formal relationship between X.AI and Tesla should look like. Okay, the Labor Department's job openings and labor turnover survey, which is called the JOLTS report, on Tuesday showed that there was 1.34 vacancies for every unemployed person in the month of October. This is the lowest since October 21 and down from 1.47 in September. Fewer workers are resigning, which over time would help ease wage inflation. Well, keep in mind, this was saying that the amount dropped to 8.733 million job openings. It was down from 9.2 or something. 5.6 million is normal. Okay. So this is, I mean, I went back for 20 years. 5.5 to 6 million is the normal range for this statistic. And there's still 8.7 million folks job openings for the 5 million total or something, 6 million total people that are theoretically looking for work or who are unemployed, who are able-bodied and could go to work. Anyway, but it's showing a direction. Okay. And so you do need to pay attention to these directions. And but also I think we need to pay attention to the big picture. All right, an ISM barometer of business conditions at service companies such as restaurants and hotels rebounded to 52.7 in November from a 5-month low of 51.8 in the prior month. Restaurants and hotels, yes, this is a category that I think will continue to be strong. I saw a headline today that said from the Restaurant Association, we've gone as far as we can go. We just can't charge people more for restaurant food. And I'm agreeing with that, just having been at a local restaurant yesterday. The November U.S. Services Purchasing Managers Index, the PMI, conducted by the S&P Global, came in at 50.8, which is exactly what people forecasted. This latest reading keeps the index in expansion territory for the 10th straight month. Once again, services. They really have continued to be strong as manufacturing products, et cetera, has been weak. That's been the weak point. But as we talked about with regard to the trucks the other day, we're starting to see gradual increases in the amount of tonnage, which would indicate that's starting to recover. Anyway, some conversations stating that Elon might have to sell some stock next year due to losses in X.com. People are talking about this now. Well, he's going to lose 75 million and blah, blah, blah. He's got all these, these debt payments that have to be paid, and the banks are going to be upset and they're going to want him out of there. Anyway, I think it's a possibility. I think he might have to sell a couple of $1 billion worth of stock. Might even be 3. Who knows? It won't be 20. It won't be 25. It won't be even 10. But if he has to sell a couple of billion, he's not going to give up on X. You can count on that. It's way too important to him on so many levels. So if he has to sell $1 billion or 2, I'm okay with that. I don't have any issue at all. I think, by the way, that he's going to find a way to do it without spending more of his own money. But if he does, I'm good. For instance, though, reported today, X is now licensed in 12 states to do payment processing, a la PayPal. Already licensed in 12 states. I wonder how many he needs to be licensed in before he figures he should roll it out. Maybe he figures he has to be pretty much all 50. I don't know, but we'll see what happens there. Well, famed investor and executive Keith Rabois, I don't know who this is, but according to the article, he's famous. He defended his recent assertion that X, the platform previously known as Twitter, has almost surely prevented a second Holocaust as self-evident, he said in an exchange with Vice News. That's twice this week I've quoted Vice News. I can't believe it. Anyway, he says this is a self-evident claim. It's not even bold. He says, if people were dependent on the news from outlets like the New York Times, the BBC, or the Washington Post, they would be utterly ignorant of the atrocities that are taking place. One of the biggest reasons Hitler was able to get away with murder, and Stalin too, was the complicity of the media. Fortunately, regular citizens can report the truth and bypass these gatekeepers who are mostly interested in serving as stenographers for the terrorists, not journalists. So I'm hearing folks, including from Dana White today, talking about Elon's F-laced comment last week. This is being, for a lot of people, a shot heard round the world. What do you think? Do you think that it might end up being an important point in history where all of a sudden people, their eyes pop open and they go, you know what? He's right. Because a whole bunch of people are saying it. Gene Munster, you all know who Gene Munster is, another bullish generally, he hasn't always been bullish, but is bullish now on Tesla. He says, I still feel the same way about Cybertruck. It's the best truck on the market, but he thinks it'll remain a niche until the price gets below 60,000. Well, this niche, product is going to sell about 1 million units before it has to lower its price below 60,000, although it might if it won't be resold at those levels because it can be flipped. He says it's the latest evidence that Tesla's tech lead is increasing. Okay, we know this. Lots of other people have reported it, but Gene Munster, I like to hear it coming out of his mouth. All right, let me summarize. There's been no price cuts on Tesla vehicles this quarter so far, and we are now on the 5th, okay? Cybertruck is absolutely amazing. All the video reviewer, the viewers who have video people, everybody that's ridden in the truck, Sandy Monroe, you go down the list, they all saying it is absolutely next. It's mind-bogglingly important product and stuff that's going to be coming back into the Model 3, Model Y, and forward into the Gen 3. We have this news today that the Gen 3 is likely going to be coming in 2024. Now, Elon didn't say that, but if Mexico was, he could get it produced in 2025 in Mexico. If he wants it produced in 2024, the only way that's going to happen is in Austin, and so it's going to be produced in Austin. Meantime, we have interest rates falling off a cliff. We'll talk about it in a second when we look at the numbers. We have Tesla stock still sitting at $239. Now, this is not investment advice. That's all I need to say. Tesla stock is still sitting at $239 right now. Unless something really bad happens, Tesla will be at all-time high at the end of January. We will see the ramp by then on the Cybertruck. We will know more about the 4680 and progress by that time. We'll find out a bunch of other things too. We will also know that the margins are doing just fine and that the shipments beat. Of course, there could be a pandemic or another war or some other crazy thing, but unless there is, I'm just saying. So you want to stick around for the pre-market info now, because I'm going to talk about bonds and some other stuff that you're going to be interested in what I have to say. I think maybe you won't be, but let's take a look. All right. First of all, we got Tesla up 0.54% in the aftermarket. So call that another $1.50, $1.20 in the aftermarket, sitting right at $240. So that's stronger than it was just a little while, half an hour ago when I last checked. So it's going up in the aftermarket. Now let's go over and look at the rest of the, whoops, I just hit the wrong thing. The rest of the information here. Let us start as always with the bonds. Okay, we have got the bonds now. Are you ready? This is crazy, except that my computer is not giving me the information. Oh, good. Here we go. Just what I needed. All right. So I'm going to start with the 10-year, which is now sitting at 4.184. It is up a little bit since the last time I looked. It was as low today as 4.169. It's now at 4.184. Still way under my 4.25, but I do again believe there will be a range. So I won't be surprised to see it go up a bit. Okay, now finally the rest of it's working. Here we got the 2-month is up 1.5 basis points. So it's sitting at just almost exactly 5.4. So if you take that from 4.2, you see that's still huge. It's still such a big gap. The 2-year is up almost 2 basis points in the after hours. So that is broadening the gap again. It is sitting at 4.6. 4.6, yeah, so that's more. It's over 40 basis points. So the inversion continues to expand, which, of course, I think is nuts, but I have my reasons for thinking that it is important. All right, oil is sitting at $72, so that stays about where it's been. We've got gold up $1 in the after hours, sitting almost where it was all day today, around 2035, 2038, that area. And we've got the dollar doing better this week than it did last week. And we've got the Bitcoin, are you ready for this? Sitting at 44,000. So we can all go, oh, I should have invested. Okay, we've got the Dow up 33, which is 0.09 in the pre-market. We've got the S&P up $8.50, which is 0.19 in the pre-market. And we have NASDAQ up $51 or 0.32. So right now we've got the NASDAQ going back to form. I don't know, that would start to ruin my theory about the great, about moving out of the tech stocks and into the value stocks. But anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow and the next day, because none of these trends are 5 days does not a trend make, and yet 1 day of something doing different or 2 days of something different doesn't mean that the trend has been broken. This is going to play out over weeks and months, not just a few days. All right, so the card I promised you for Brian White's video earlier today, you definitely need, you probably saw it because, I don't know, last time I looked, 5,000-6,000 people had seen it. So go back and check that out if you didn't. And then tomorrow, I think what I'm going to do at the noon hour, I think I'm going to take a look at where things stand. I think I'm going to take that 35 or 45,000 foot view and try to kind of look down and see where things are. Kind of like that summary I just did, but broadening it out a little bit. I may not do that, but that's kind of what's on my mind right now. And then in the evening, Jeff Lutz will be joining me as co-host for the Wednesday night Good News Show for the first time. And he'll be a regular every Wednesday, helping us figure out all the good news that took place that day. And then, of course, you want to get your Cybertruck. Don't forget to get your Cybertruck. And you want to join Patreon. All the information down below in the description. So until bright and early tomorrow morning, where we'll see if Tesla continues to slam forward and upward, it's been great talking to you.